Back to Kiss for a minute. So the book you alluded to also that you wrote in the book, part of the book you talked about some of your bandmates kind of maybe being anti-Semitic.
Mm.
How was that taken? Has that been resolved? Is that the
That's a touchy subject.
you wrote it
Yes, I did. I did.
for all of us?
Well, I felt, my book was not about throwing anybody under the bus. They walked under it. I didn't push them.
All right.
But yeah, there certainly was anti-Semitism, and I think I don't want to say rampant, but there.
In the world, I will tell you,
Yes.
as a fellow Jew, yes, it is rampant. But I'm also not, at least, I don't think I'm working with anybody where it is affecting me. So to be in a group, I've never been in a group. I'm a comic. I work by myself, and I work with my family. But to be in a group where you feel that, and you kind of announce that.
Well, let's kind of clarify. I kind of announced that decades after. When it was happening, it can be an awkward situation, but being Jewish isn't always easy anyway. I remember when I first made enough money to get an apartment in New York City, and I wanted to live on Fifth Avenue because I wanted to overlook the park. And I had a real estate agent take me. And after looking at an apartment or two, she said, "Look, I can take you where you want to live, or where they'll let you live." I was like,
In New York?
yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, "What are you talking about?" "Well, your new money and you're Jewish." So that was a reality check. And
So
yeah, I think
weird in our generation that
Oh.
we still experience that.
I think everybody, boy, people like a scapegoat. And I think that Jews have historically found a way to land on their feet in the worst adversity.
I agree with you.
And I think that some people have a hard time with that.
How did the people that you talked about a decade after it happened, did they reach out to you after the book came out?
No, no,
Oh.
no. Some deny it, and that's fine. We all have our own, memories, and we'll interpret events in our lives the way we choose to.
You also are an accomplished artist, painter,
Mhm.
and you very, very successful.
Yes.
In paint. You're a rock star in the paint world, in the art world. Do you love that as much as music?
It's such a passion, and I'm so fortunate because I came to it later in life.
When did you start painting?
I started painting about 22 years ago.
That's it?
Yeah, and in a very difficult and tumultuous time in my life. And my best friend said to me, "You should paint." I was kind of, really? And he gave me a book of Mark Rothko. And something resonated with me. I went out and bought paints and bought canvases and had no idea what I was going to do, and started painting. And at that point, it was more cathartic. It was almost more like purging, not knowing what I was going to do, but just kind of an emotional outlet. I never, ever painted with the idea of anybody seeing it, let alone acquiring it. And at some point, I had a few pieces hang in my house, and invariably people would say, "Who did that? Who did that?" And I didn't sign them because I felt, well, that will, I guess, negate whatever validity it has, because who am I? I'm just some schmo painting, throwing paint at a canvas. So ultimately, somebody said to me, "Why don't we do a show?" And we just did a gallery show in Hawaii. And I was surprised that people bought my art. And
Unsigned art?
no, then
Then you signed.
Then you
I
signed.
was signing. Pardon me. And that was the start. I was painting yesterday.
How long after you started painting 22 years ago did you sell your first piece?
About 3 years later.
And how often? You said you're painting yesterday. You paint every day?
When I'm home, it's I don't want to say an obsession, but it's something that feels really, really, really good. It's something that allows me to free myself in another direction. I'm always looking for ways to be creative because I think we can define ourselves by what we do outside of what we choose to do initially. So whether it was doing Phantom of the Opera or painting or being trying to be a great dad, all those things make up who I am.
You take commissions, or you just whatever?
I'm not. I do. I did commissions at one point, but honestly, in some ways, that's contradictory and contrary to why I started painting. I started painting to the same reason I got involved in music. I didn't want to be told what to do, so I did some commissions. I'll still do a few, but really, I do this for myself
and for money now.
Well, that came along, but I didn't do it for money.
What's the most expensive piece you've sold?
Most of my larger pieces are around $60,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many pieces do you do a year? I'm being very Jewy. I'm trying to do some math and
do the
multiplication.
math. I've sold over $20 million in art.
Wow.
Wow.